Hello, YouTube. At long last, it's Lefty 79, the commissioner of the NFL Stableford League, back again with the Week 4 NFL Stableford League Power Ranking Show. Had some hiccups along the way here with the PS5, but we got the audio working, hopefully, and we're ready to go. And I'm going to rock and roll and get through all 32 teams in the second to last edition of the Power Rankings before we head to PGA Tour 2K23. I hope everybody that has the game is enjoying it. Uh, some disclaimers about that game right off the bat. I know there's the issues going on with the sleeves of balls and green speeds and all that. As far as I'm concerned with that, there's really nothing they can do about it. I think what's going to happen is we're just going to have to make do with what we can do and control with what we can control. I know the tours is in a dilemma because it's a lot of players that are going to be affected one way or the other. But since we're a closed league of only 32 teams, I could pretty much, add handicaps if I would like. I can also mandate what the rules are going to be. But I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to stick with the difficulty level that the tours goes with, which I'm guessing will be master, but can't be quoted for sure on that. But as it is, when it comes to any upgrades or any fittings or archetypes or anything like that, I'm pretty much planning on it being the Wild West in terms of you do what you want to do to score as many points as you can, and that's basically the NFL in a nutshell. Try to beat your opponent into oblivion every week. So we'll see what happens. But as it is, the league will be taking a hiatus for a couple weeks so everybody can level up their characters to get to where they want to be. October 27th, we're going to relaunch this league. I'll have more on that in the next Power Ranking show, I'm sure. I'll probably have some more details for regarding handicaps and things like that, if we're going to have them or not. I'm not really sure right now. All I know is that this week 6 and week 7 schedule will be played that week we come back. So some teams might have 2 games. I'm sure the majority of us will have 2 games, and others will only have 1 game because I believe the bye weeks start kicking in week number 6. So if you have a bye in week 6 or 7, you'll likely only have to play 1 game. So depending on how far you are with your leveling up, that might not be a bad thing. So, but as it is, I know there's some teams that are going to lament this game as they're starting off really hot right now. But there's others that are probably not, can't wait to get the heck off of this game. And we're going to start with those people, as we have 4 teams that don't have a win yet. And we're going to start off at number 32 with the Minnesota Vikings at 0-4, still in the basement after losing at New Orleans 26-23. And we'll next go, we'll still stay at home now to play the Bears, who are 2-2. So we'll see if Andrew can turn things around before heading to the new game. Wow, I'm really surprised by this. The Purple have always been a pretty formidable opponent in this league. I just think it's just the fact that we're at the end of this life cycle of this game, and I'm guessing he's probably not playing it as much. And if you don't play for a while, it's hard to pick it up. So we'll see how the Vikings do going forward, but I'm guessing there still might be a little bit of a hangover until we get to the new game. So, but now we're going to head to number 31. It's the Arizona Cardinals of Art Vandelay. Also 0-4, down 1 spot this week after losing at Carolina in a big surprise, 26-20. Carolina just put it on them by a couple field goals, and Art now will have to head back home to take on a tough Eagles team who are 3-1 in the Battle of the Birds. So, yeah, this season has started off for the Birds for Art, unfortunately. 1 more game left in this iteration of the game, and I'm sure he can't get to the new game fast enough. So Sorry, Art, but you're down here at number 31. You're not quite the Baron of the basement yet, but you're working on it. As it is, we now head to number 30 and the New York Jets. This is another team that I'm really surprised that they're this low. The Jets are down one spot uh, from number 29 last week, and they are 0-4 after losing at Pittsburgh in what was really not a close game, 28-21. I'm really surprised by David here. I think he's pretty much checked out with this game, and the less said about this, probably the better. But next, the Jets will take on the Miami Dolphins at home, which they can maybe steal that one, as the Dolphins aren't really playing a whole hell of a lot better. So the Dolphins are at 2-2 right now, and this is an AFC East matchup that uh, I'm sure a lot of channel changing will happen during, as this one might get to the New York metropolitan area and a few pockets of Miami. Probably not a national game. As we now head to number 29 after being ultra critical, it's the Houston Texans of Paul, another team that has shown some signs of life, but just have not been able to get in the win column yet in 2022. As the Texans are up two spots, though, however, as early as nowhere else for them to go but up, as they lost to the Los Angeles Chargers at home, 30-26, which very high scoring game, first of all. But Paul, I think, gave a great effort there, considering the circumstances. Really surprised at the amount of scoring on the Xbox platform in that one. So, not sure if it was good conditions or if there was just a heck of a lot of bad defense. So, as it is, the Texans are at number 29, and now we'll take on Jacksonville on the road. 2-2 are the Jags right now, and looking to add to that win total. We'll see if the Texans can get that first win, though, as the defending AFC South champs are really having a hard time of it so far in this season. As we now go to number 28, the first of the one-win teams, the Las Vegas Raiders of Lucas. In this style is down 5 this week after losing at home to Denver, 25-24. The Raiders are now 1-3 and will next take on the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead in the division rivalry that will have definitely a lot of hard feelings, as the Chiefs are 3-1 and looking to stay atop that AFC West. A little surprised that the Raiders are stumbling a little bit here at home, as that they have a pretty good built-in home field advantage there in the desert. But as it is, we'll see if they can turn things around heading towards this new game. As we now head to number 27, let's see who we have there. Well, it's none other than the Washington Commanders. Down 6 spots this week after losing at Dallas 24-23 in a heartbreaker. The Commanders are now 1-3, and it doesn't get any easier for them, as they'll now host the Titans who are 4-0 right now. This is going to be a tough matchup for the Commanders, but as it is, this is their last chance to show what they got on PGA 2K21. And I just think that going forward, you're going to see a little bit more out of the Commanders. I know that early on they had some really tough matchups that they were in the game every time, and it just seems like they're not quite getting the bounces, and they're taking their lumps as a new owner in the league. And I think things will start turning around for them in the nation's capital. As we now make our way up this list, it's number 26. And it's the Atlanta Falcons of Sean. Prowse is down 2 spots this week after losing at home to the Cleveland Browns. Just missed knocking them from the ranks of the unbeaten by 1 point. It was a 26-25 heartbreaker. at home, and now the Falcons are 1-3 on the season and looking to turn it around as they will now travel down to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers, who are 3-1 in an NFC South uh, division rival, the division matchup between two rivals there. So we'll see if the Falcons can begin to soar this season. They had one big win, and we'll see if they can get another one and try to move up these rankings. As we now hit number 25, probably the highest ranked in a while for the Panthers. The Carolina Panthers of Polecat are up 3 spots this week after that big win at home against the Arizona Cardinals, 26-20. Basically just put it on Art there, and all the Panthers are at 1-3. So this is a huge thing for this team, as there were seasons where the Panthers would take at least, more than a quarter of the halfway through the season to sniff their first win, but now they got one in their first 4 games, and that's a big morale boost for this club. And can they keep that going at home against the 49ers this week, who are 2-2 and have been a little bit up and down this season? We'll find out. But kudos to the Panthers for getting on in the win column here. With 4 teams that still don't even have a win, that's a big deal. So kudos to the Panthers, and yeah, they're definitely got to be considered in the conversation, as really nobody's really out of it yet, and we're heading toward a new game, and things could definitely take a big turn for the better for the Panthers. We'll find out. But speaking of taking a big turn, it's the number 24 team, a team that was at the penthouse a year ago, but they haven't quite gotten back to that form yet this season. That's the Miami Dolphins of Coinhen, who are up 3 spots this week after a win at Cincinnati. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. 22-21, basically pulled that one out, and now we're at 2-2 in the AFC East, or as they call it in some circles, the AFC least, as those teams have all really had some struggles scoring the ball. But as it is, the Dolphins are right there in the thick of it and are now on the way to East Rutherford in 1 week's time to take on the New York Jets, who haven't been able to throw the ball in the ocean. And they're 0-4 right now. So at the end of the day, the Dolphins are looking at maybe ending up over 500 in this last week of 2K21. So hey, you got to love that if you're Coinhen. As it is, we now move up to Michael Jordan's number 23. Speaking of the new game, let's find out. Well, they haven't been playing like the GOAT lately, but it's the Green Bay Packers, who are down 7 spots after a very terrible performance at home against the New England Patriots. Franz Belichick just crushed the Packers with that defense, and were able to pull out a 21-17 win, sending the Packers into a 2-2 record. And now we'll have to face the Giants in London, who are 3-1. So it goes from bad to worse for the Packers here after losing 2 in a row now. They get to play Don, and that's really not going to be an easy task. And the Packers definitely are looking for a silver lining going into the new game, and we'll see if they can find it this week over by Big Ben. As we now reach double deuces, number 22, well, it's a team that just whooped the Packers. It's the New England Patriots, who are down 3 spots this week despite the win, but they'll take that win as they're 2-2 now, and will now play the Detroit Lions at home, who are 3-1. So we'll see if the Patriots can build on that momentum of whooping up on Green Bay and keep that defense going. So good on Franz for that win. Definitely was an entertaining game, even though the Packers really didn't show up. As it is, we now hit Blackjack number 21. Let's find out who we have in that spot this week. It is the Dallas Cowboys of Sky Blue Ben. How about them Cowboys as they won at home against the Washington Commanders 24-23 to bring their record up to 2-2 in the NFC East, or the NFC Beast as it is this season, as we got some pretty good teams in that division. And right now, Ben will now take on the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes down, as the Rams are 2-2 also, and have also had a little bit of an up and down season like the Cowboys have. So that one could go either way between two pretty wily veterans here in the NFL Stableford League. We got a battle of Brew Crew versus Happy Tea. Friends. Well, we have two friends in this one. Maybe after that game, they'll be good friends, maybe better enemies after that matchup. But we'll find out as we now hit the top 20. And let's find out. Well, we go from the Cowboys to the horseshoe of the Indianapolis Colts, who lost to Tennessee 23-19 and have now dropped like a rock 12 spots to this number 20 spot. The Colts are 2-2. Pizer really had a rough go of it at home against Tennessee. I didn't really expect that, and I think the rankings reflected that. And now they will take on the Denver Broncos on the road, who are 3-1 and are really starting to cook. So as it is, the Colts kind of went to the glue factory in this one, and it's going to be tough now for Pizer to come out over 500 in this iteration of the game until the end of October. We'll have to see what the Colts can do to turn this around. They were looking like a top 10 team, but now they're holding on at number 20. As we now go to number 19, let's see who gets that distinction this week. It's the Baltimore Ravens of Eddie. This is probably the lowest I've seen Eddie ranked in a long time. The Ravens are down 7 spots, nevermore, at 2-2 after losing at home to Buffalo 25-22. That's a tough loss there, especially at home, as the Bills are not really lighting the world on fire heading in, but boy, oh boy, they found something, and the Ravens were just not able to match. And as it is now, the Ravens are finding themselves in that logjam in the AFC North, with the Cincinnati Bengals coming into town next at 2-2 and looking to find a way to get back in the win column. As it is, you got the AFC North right now, very jammed up with 3 teams at 2-2. So we'll see how that shakes out as the weeks go on. But yeah, it's a tough loss for the Ravens there, as I would have thought they would have took that one at home. But we'll see if Lamar can turn things around 1 week before we head to the new game. As we now go to number 18, well, not going to have to make too big of a segue here, as it was the Buffalo Bills who put it on the Ravens and moved up 7 spots for that win. And now I'll find themselves at 2-2 in the AFC East after that win at Baltimore, and will now take on the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, who are also 2-2. So there's a lot of 2-2 in the AFC right now. Very, very close conference, in my opinion, as there's a lot of teams that are really trying to establish themselves going into the new game. But as it is, the Bills Mafia are happy and are glad to have that win, and are looking to build on that at home against a tough Pittsburgh team that is looking to continue their winning ways. And now we head to number 17. It's the Seattle Seahawks of Mark. They stay at 2-2 after losing. Well, actually, they stay at number 17, but they're at 2-2 after losing at Detroit 26-24. So a little bit of a different team on the road, the Seahawks are, when they don't have the 12th man behind them. But unfortunately, that loss dropped them. Well, actually, they're in a tie now for the NFC West lead, but will now have to travel on the road again at New Orleans. So the schedule maker really isn't doing them any favors this season, as the Saints are surging at 3-1 right now. So we'll see if the Seahawks can get out of neutral here and maybe move up after a tough 2-point loss on the road at the Motor City. Now we're in the midpoint of these rankings, and we go to the Steelers, who are at number 16. Up 6 spots this week is Pat, after that big win at home against the Jets by 7 big points. They definitely covered the spread there, in my opinion. So the Steelers are now at 2-2 and are now heading to Buffalo to take on a fellow 2-2 team. So we'll find out if this is the beginning of a big run here for the Steelers going into the new game. As we now reach number 15, a team that's really hit some hard times here recently after being at the penthouse of the league. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars of Corey, who dropped 5 spots this week after losing at Philadelphia 27-22 and dropping to 2-2 in the AFC South and falling a little bit further behind in that division. We'll see if Corey can turn it around, though, with a divisional matchup at home against the Houston Texans, who come in with an 0-4 record and are looking to get that first win. But we'll see if Corey can deny them that, as there's a little bit of history between the Jaguars and the Texans, as the Texans were able to pull out a tie and win the division based on that close finish last year. So we'll see if the Jaguars can get that third win heading into the transition to the new game. As we now reach the number 14 spot, we head back to the NFC and the Los Angeles Rams of Kevin, who are down 1 spot after losing at San Francisco 26-25 and now dropping to 2-2 in the NFC West. Now, that was a close game, so the Rams weren't really penalized too much for that, as divisional games can go either way generally. But the Rams now are going to host the Dallas Cowboys, who are also at 2-2. This will be a good game, and I'm definitely expecting the Rams to bring it before we make the transition to 2K23. As we now hit number lucky 13, let's find out who it is, as we might end up saying farewell to this player or this owner for a period of time, maybe. It's the San Francisco 49ers of Crushtastic. Jason won against the Rams, who I just mentioned, 26-25 at home. That jumped them up 7 spots this week. So the 49ers have rebounded nicely since being down in the number 30 spot with a couple of big wins to get right back into the thick of these rankings. And next they'll take on the Carolina Panthers on the road, who are at 1-3 right now, in a game that you can't take lightly, as the Panthers are really showing a lot at home this year. So we'll see if the 49ers can end their ownership run on a positive note before we see them again sometime in the future. As now we go to number 12. It's the defending champion Cincinnati Bengals. Who dey? Well, they're down 5 this week after losing at home to Miami in a disappointing 1-point loss in a game they probably should have won. As you're at home, you got a good defensive performance, but the offense just seemed like it was stuck in a tsunami, if you will. As the Bengals now are at 2-2 and find themselves in that logjam in the AFC North, and now will take on their division rivals, the Baltimore Ravens, on the road, who are also 2-2. That'll be a Sunday night football game, and that one will be interesting to see, as the winner of that's definitely going to have some early season bragging rights heading into the transition. As we now go to number 11, this is another team that's been a little bit up and down this year, but have put a lot of points on the board. It's the Chicago Bears of Austin. Radak Prime is down 7 this week after losing at the Giants. Maybe a little bit of a penalty because there's so many teams that uh, there's so many teams at 3-1 right now. But as far as like holding his own against the top teams, the Bears have done that, and that's why they're at number 11 and are considered the best of the 2-2 teams right now. So as it is, the Bears did drop 7 after losing at New York 26-24, and now will take on the Minnesota Vikings on the road, who have had a disaster of a season so far. So if the Bears can add to that misery in the purple, they'll definitely be in good shape in the NFC North heading into the transition to the new game. As we now reach the top 10, and it's Chinatown's Tampa Bay Buccaneers checking in at the number 10 spot, down 7 spots this week, though, after that loss at home to the Kansas City Chiefs in a Super Bowl rematch that ended up going the way of the Chiefs 20-17. So the Buccaneers are now 3-1 after that hot start. And next we'll take on the Atlanta Falcons at home, who come in with a 1-3 record and also, are in their division. So this is a big game. Even though the records are reversed here, the Falcons could get a big win and definitely turn their season around at a tough place to play. So, but as it is, Chinatown's delivered so far on the new ownership promise of getting the Buccaneers back to the playoffs, and they're looking pretty good right now. So you can't really fault them for that. I mean, I know they've definitely made maybe a little bit of a controversial decision on the home course, but as it is, they're playing well. They're playing well enough to win, so it's obviously not affected them too much. So as it is, the pirate ship is definitely imposing, and the cannons are being fired a lot this season. So, but we now move into the number 9 spot, and it's the team that just beat the Buccaneers. It's the Kansas City Chiefs of Kike, who are up 5 spots after that win at Tampa Bay, and are now at 3-1 in the AFC West, which is a bear of a division right now that has 3 teams that could probably win it. And right now, the Chiefs will be playing one of the teams that's not probably in the conversation, but could be in the new game. You never know. It's the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 1-3. They'll be coming in next to Arrowhead on Monday Night Football to see if they can knock off the Chiefs. But as it is, Kike has been very solid, and Chiefs Kingdom have been very happy so far this year and are looking to continue their winning ways heading into the transition. Now it's time for number 8, and a team that made a huge jump this week. It's the Philadelphia Eagles of Zuby, who are up 10 spots after the big win at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 27-22. Now, Randy's been very impressive this season, getting the Eagles up to 3-1 now and tied for the lead in the NFC East. We'll see if they can keep that run going, though, as they now take it on the road at Arizona to take on a team that's looking for their first win of the year, and Art Vandelay. So a couple Brew Crew members taking each other on to end this iteration of the game. It should be a fun one. The Battle of the Birds usually is, so we'll find out if the Eagles can fly and keep their winning ways going. As we now reach lucky number 7, who gets that distinction this week? Well, it's the Detroit Lions of CF, who are up 8 spots this week after a big win at home against the Seattle Seahawks in a game that could have really went either way. The Lions were able to pull it out 26-24 to go up to 3-1 and take that NFC North division lead. That was a big win for them. And now they'll take on the Patriots on the road, who are 2-2 and looking to keep their winning ways going. So that'll be a good one, I think. The Lions are definitely in the driver's seat right now in the NFC North and are finishing this game on a good note. And the Patriots are trying to keep that going as well. So that'll be two teams on a collision course in week number 5. As we now head to number 6, who do we have here? Well, it's Austin, and he's cooking with the Denver Broncos, who are up 5 spots this week after beating the Las Vegas Raiders on the road 25-24. The Broncos run their record out of 3-1, tied for the lead in the AFC West, and looking to keep the winning going at home against the Indianapolis Colts on Thursday Night Football. The Colts come in at 2-2, so they've had mixed results, and the Broncos are hoping that that one loss was a aberration and are looking to finish strong at Mile High. As we now go to the top 5, let's see who we have. It's none other than another AFC West team. It's the Los Angeles Chargers of Old Man Gaming, up 4 spots this week after beating the Houston Texans on the road in a big way, 30-26 with a nice 30 burger. And that'll always catch the attention of the power ranking staff. And good for them, as now they'll take on an undefeated Cleveland Browns team on the road at the Dog Pound, who are 4-0. That could be game of the week potential right there. Actually, I think I'm going to call that the game of the week, as the Chargers and the Browns, two teams that are on the rise in NFL Stableford and in real life. So it should be definitely an interesting matchup, to say the least. And whoever wins that one will definitely have a good tiebreaker down the road in the AFC, and probably could lay claim to being the early season favorites in the AFC. As we now go to number 4, who do we have? Well, this is probably the highest ranked they've ever been in the NFL Stableford League. It's the New Orleans Saints of Greg McMillan, up 2 spots this week at 3-1 after beating the Minnesota Vikings at home 26-23 in the Superdome. Just a big win there at home, and they're looking to keep the good times rolling down there in the Big Easy as the Seattle Seahawks come into town, and they're coming in at a 2-2 record. So another big opportunity for the Saints to keep moving up here in the rankings. As wow, I never would have thought I'd see the day, but I'm really, the Saints just come in as it said in their post. They're averaging a nice 26 points a week, and that's always going to get the job done, it seems, in this league from week to week. If you can hang your hat on that, you got something going there. And the Saints are definitely looking to keep that momentum going in that NFC South, which they're in a battle right now with the Buccaneers, and neither one of them have any love lost for each other. And I'm interested to see how that's going to go down the road in the new game, as both those teams definitely established themselves so far this season. As we now head to the top 3, let's find out who the number 3 team is this week. Well, it's a team who's used to being near the top of these rankings, that's for sure. It's the New York Football Giants of Tag Rocket, who are up 2 spots this week at a 3-1 record after defeating the Chicago Bears at home at MetLife 26-24. Well, that was a big win for them, as the Bears have really been impressive so far early on in the season, but the Giants have proven time and time again to be a tough team wherever they play. And this is the year for Don. This is the year he's hoping for, as he is now the top ranked NFC team in these rankings, and he's looking to build on that championship performance and this time get the job done in the Super Bowl, unlike last season. So The Giants definitely not having definitely no Super Bowl hangover for them, as they will now take on the Packers in London in Week 5. The Packers are 2-2 and really aren't looking very good since that Week 2 win against the Bears. The Packers have been in the dumps, so we'll see if the Giants can continue to send the Packers on that slide and keep their momentum going toward that fourth win and staying atop that NFC East and keeping pace with the Philadelphia Eagles, who are also playing very good right now. So as it is, we're now at the number 2 spot, and we'll find out who that is in just a moment. Well, it's the Tennessee Titans of Platypus Brigade, who are down 1 spot. They were the number 1 team last week, but they do take a slight drop after winning at Indianapolis 23-19. They're 4-0 now and atop that AFC South. Still, they did what they had to do to get the win. It may not have been the prettiest, but it got the job done. And now they'll take it on the road again at Washington, who are 1-3. So that's another game that the Titans are definitely going to be favored to win. And they're looking to go to 5-0 and close out a perfect 2K21 campaign here in the 2022 season. They've looked impressive at home, and now they've looked impressive on the road. So you got to give it to the Titans, a team that's pretty much come out of nowhere after last season to take this undefeated record into a number 2 ranking in the power rankings for Week 4. Well, obviously now it takes us to number 1, and we know who that is now. It's time to go insane, Cleveland, because it's Insane Eric and the Cleveland Browns, who jump 1 spot to number 1 this week after that win on the road at Atlanta, 26-25. The Browns have just been they've been in some really close games, and they find a way to get it done. And right now the Browns are at 4-0, atop the AFC North, probably the toughest division in NFL Stableford. Just based on the quality of opponents there. And now the Browns will go now they'll stay home now at the Dog Pound and take on the Los Angeles Chargers, who come in at 3-1, and that will definitely be the NFL Stableford game of the week in week number 5. So we'll see if the Browns can continue their impressive start to this season, and if they can maintain that number 1 ranking. Let's do a little bit of a recap here on the gainers and losers this week. The biggest gainers were the Eagles up 10 spots, the Lions up 8, and the 49ers and Bills both went up 7. The biggest losers this week were the Colts down 12. The Buccaneers, Bears, Ravens, and Packers were all down 7 this week. But once again, it's the Cleveland Browns, the number 1 team in the NFL Stableford League, according to the Week 4 power rankings. I believe that means we've had a different team at number 1 every week so far this season. And that just goes to show how close this league is and how competitive it is. And I am very glad to be able to bring this show to you as the commissioner of the league. And I'm very proud to be a part of this league and to be the commissioner of such a great group of teams and of players. You guys bring it every single week, and I'll try to bring this every week as well. As it is, we're heading toward a hiatus for the league as we head to the new game this week. The season will take a hiatus beginning on Thursday as we wrap up the current week that we're in, which is Week 5. And I'll have the power rankings show upon the conclusion of that. But once again, this has been Lefty79, the commissioner of the NFL Stableford League, thanking you for joining me again for another power ranking show. I wish you all a great week of PGA Tour 2K23. and I will see you again down the road. Goodbye, everybody.